It gives me, Linda, great honor to recognize and receive you as a companion of the Center for Christian Studies. Would you please come?
Thank you. Thank you very much. This is indeed an honor. I am deeply pleased, and my heart is deeply touched. If it were not for others that I have worked with in team and in solo ministry, and in the wonderful world of diaconia, I would not have been able to do the ministry that I have been called to all these 43 years. For the love and care of my family, and sometimes their bewilderment as to why I stayed in the church, I give thanks. For friends and family, for friends who have heard my despair and my joy, I give thanks. For those who challenged me to be better, to dare, to risk, to speak, I give thanks. And for those who dared me, Eric King, one of those people, not to lose my voice, even though it might be softer and more gentle, when I was diagnosed with MS, I give thanks. And for those who taught me social, political, feminist, and theological analysis, Catherine Hawken and others, I am deeply grateful. For the ministry I have been doing, some days with great conviction and some days not, some days hurt and some days joy, some days doubt, fear, and worry, and some days not, some days wondering if I had taken a different road, what then? Other days glad I did not. And I am still bewildered how we arrived here at this moment. To do justice, to love kindness, to walk humbly with God has been my motto for many years, and from Deuteronomy, to choose life, new life, and to choose blessings. And when I am faint of heart, I think of Mary's song of hope and joy. And especially when facing crowds seeking justice, I listen to standing before you, women who have helped us, making us strong with voices gentle and wise. It began with my father and mother, deeply committed to the well-being of communities and faithfully serving the church and community in many ways. I saw them stand up to injustices. My father saying to the bus driver, "You must bring those children, the Buffalo children, to school. They had just arrived from Holland. And if you don't," and I listened to the keyhole, because when he closed the door, you knew something was going to happen. And I listened to the keyhole, he said, "You will lose your job." And next day, the accountability session. Did the bus driver bring the Buffalo children on the bus? And yes, he did. He did. And they were there. It began with my father and mother standing up to politicians and others. I saw them do really wonderful things in the community, and they had a lot of fun doing it. And I saw my mother struggle to survive after my father was killed trying to save the local school from closing. They made a difference for farmers, for kids, for old war vets, newcomers, and many others. And did you know that ice cream is a basic human right? You see, all people deserve simple pleasures in this world, and ice cream is one of them. I actually gave a speech to human rights lawyers in Vancouver on ice cream is a basic human right. They didn't know that. Don Murray and Ross Hamilton both encouraged me to go into ministry, though I did argue with them that there were no women in ministry. I applied to the Center of Christian Studies anyway to pursue diaconal ministry, and I received a letter that said, "You are accepted to CCS." But, back to the but later. Remembering that God is our strength, and strength comes from community. Remembering that we are not alone and there are companions on the journey with us, we are able to do justice and create blessings as we plant seeds of hope, responding to God's call. Preparing for this response has been daunting. Yes, I have stood at many microphones over my 43 years of ministry. But to be here in your presence, receiving this award, is the most daunting, and no CBC reporter can help me with that 10-second clip that will make the news. I wondered what to say. I reviewed the photos of my journey as I went down memory lane and wondered how a country girl could have possibly been involved in so many things. Kaziwasa, survivor of the sugar beet fields, engaged me in many justice actions. Together we convinced Calgary Presbytery to give black land to the Stoney people. Together we went to the funeral service for Nelson Smalllegs Jr., who had lost hope for his people. Together, Kaz and I and a few other Aboriginal leaders blocked the doors of Alberta Conference, as it was known then, and held the conference hostage until they heard the voices of the Aboriginal peoples. In Vancouver, after listening to so many stories of people without housing, without adequate housing, without safe housing, and hearing the story of a woman and her 4 children who had slept in the garbage bin, I just simply said, enough is enough. Enough is enough. We were able to relocate her to her homeland in Bella Coola on that same day, working with the social workers. And because we had developed really good relationships with the social workers, that was really possible. Also, First United Church Housing formed, Franklin Street Housing for Women, Sojourn Housing Co-op, Affordable Housing BC were all some of the projects I was involved in Vancouver around housing. Freestanding Abortion Clinics BC, I was founding member and spokesperson, and End Legislative Poverty. And poverty is indeed, I believe, legislative, and we can do something about it. Spokesperson for many of those groups, as well as spokesperson for First United Church on CBC to comment on various government budgets. I didn't even know how to balance my own checkbook, but I got to comment on all the government budgets. Presented many briefs to federal and provincial governments on affordable housing, guaranteed income, and mental health support. John Turner asked me to sit with him and explain trafficked children and women. And Kim Campbell invited me to run for election. However, as I explained to Kim, we have very different views. And she said, "Linda, that's why I want you in the House." Spent time with Rose, a sex trade worker who arrived from the north, badly burned and sexually exploited, victim of the residential school system. Friday nights at a cafe, met with sex trade workers who needed legal help to or wanted to just get out, and First United Church had the dollars to help. My dear friend Rose allowed me to take a picture of her, the only picture there is. Rose was sadly murdered in a back alley in Vancouver's downtown east side. Symbol of what happens when we don't listen, and when we don't walk together, and when we don't take those risks to stand up and speak the truth and find a way through it. Because of Rose and other sex trade workers I worked with, I wrote a paper on the exclusion of sex trade workers from the feminist discourse. It was to be the introduction of my master's thesis in criminology, but I didn't go down that road. Represented many downtown East Side folks in administrative tribunals for various pensions, and reluctantly represented a man who wanted a handicap pension. He wanted the extra funds to take his girlfriend out to dinner. I guess that is a handicap, but it did not meet the criteria. Bad Girls of the Bible studied at Penticton United Church. We studied that book. And out of it came Penticton Affordable Housing to address the housing needs of women and children. They were called bad girls, but they were homeless, they had no income, they had nothing. And so they were referred to as bad girls. Well, that Bible study said, no more of that. Let's do something. And Penticton Affordable Housing was created. Bible study can inspire people to action. Together with an Aboriginal leader in Alberta, we blessed the burial grounds of the Red Deer Residential Industrial School, and then helped to set up the first meetings of what became Remembering the Children's Society. Founding member of DUC, Diaconia of the United Church of Canada, President of DOTAC, Diaconia of the Americas and the Caribbean, and Vice President of World Diaconia, although as Louise Williams would say, who was the president, nobody even knows we exist, and nobody invites us to a round table. Margaret Fulton would have been so proud. She encouraged me to become part of the worldwide Diaconia community, and I am so glad that Russell Mitchell Walker had to miss a meeting and I got to go in his place, and my life was transformed forever. Supported Sylvia from Zambia and Sala from Fiji to develop workshops for World Diaconia, and with Louise Williams taught process and consensus at World Diaconia and DOTAC. In the Philippines, where I was as part of a community and church group, I wrote a love poem to the cockroaches who invaded our hotel room. Thousands, millions of them. Diane Baker and I were in that room together, and it was awful. And I just said to Diane, remember the downtown East Side? This hotel might be slightly worse, but we're going to be okay. We all survived. And we did. And the poem helped to temper the horrors we witnessed in the Philippines. I ran for president of BC Conference, and I lost. And Jim Angus said to me, Ervin, I was called Ervin, Ervin, you can't even win with the Indians, gays, and lesbians supporting you. What's the matter? And he gave me a big hug, and we laughed, and we both knew I was a bit of a risk. Friends, this honor to be a companion with others before me is unexpected and deeply welcomed. I feel affirmed and appreciated for the ministries I have been part of. The center gave me a home and opened my eyes, even when we students back in 71 or 72 went on strike to improve our programs at CCS. And now I am on the program review committee. How did that happen? Oh, I have to tell you something. I tried to form a union in the Royal Bank of Canada in the late 60s. Obviously, I failed, but I tried. I have been exposed to other diaconal traditions around the world, and that has deepened my passion for diaconia, sisters and brothers working together to bring hope and peace. About that letter from CCS. It said, you are accepted, but you are a risk to the church. I think I did not read that last part very well. I was just excited that I was going to study at CCS. So friends, I hope I have not been too much of a risk, but then that would not be entirely truthful. I hope that the diaconal risks I have taken over the years, even when I felt lonely and afraid, have deepened people's understanding of the holy in this world and made a difference in the communities I have lived in, and honored the tradition I received at CCS. I hope that I have done good service for CCS as a diaconal minister. As your new companion and joining others, I am just simply thrilled. I will take my responsibilities very seriously and act with joy and love in this service for CCS. However, I can't promise I won't take risks, but I will be faithful to the ministry that you ask of me. Thank you.